Okay, so this is part two of the project here. What I want to do now is I want to switch the interface here a little bit. Right now we're looking at the installatron here, and this is the hank.com. This is the list of all the little things that we would need to know about this. You can come over here and you can see there's view edit details. You could back up your WordPress installation. You could see other details about this. I don't really want to get too caught up with this. I want you to look at the 0.1 MB database here, because that's really what I want to take a look at now. And the way that I would generally be looking at information surrounding my database is I'm going to go to my let's go to the applications browser and see if that's not actually going to take me back far enough. So I want to go to the cPanel. I'm going to delete all this stuff. I don't really know the best way to get around there. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go all the way back out, go to Reclaim Hosting, because I kind of lost my way navigating. I'll just go to Client Area Login. I want to go back to cPanel. And now it tells me that I got to log in as Rob. Well, that's bogus. That's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I really don't want to log in as Rob. I want to log in as myself.
But you can do my project for me.
So I'm going to log out. Whoa. I'm going to log out. And I'm going to go all the way back in with my credentials. I've got almost all of your credentials cached here somehow on my machine from when I created them. And you should have reset the passwords. But if I come back to cPanel, and we come down here, we're actually going to be looking for the PHP My Admin. So once you click on PHP My Admin, it tells you, it's going to redirect you in a second, take you to that application. So I've got a little bit of stuff going on over here. You won't have all of this stuff. The one that I want you to focus on is going to have the underscore WP on it. And when I click on that, all these other ones are just things that I was working on. When I click on the Matty Hurd underscore WP one, whenever you see WP and an underscore, it's generally meaning WordPress. So that's the WordPress comment meta. WordPress comments, WordPress links, WordPress options, post meta, posts. Hey, does that sound familiar? Okay, so when I click on that, it gives me columns, it gives me indexes. If I look below that, there's some other stuff. Let's actually just click on WordPress posts. Okay, so this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky for you, but I don't really want you to do anything with this. I just want you to nose around and look. And if you look to the right over here under the post content, you may actually see things that you remember that I actually typed. So there's my cool second post. There's the everything is awesome. There's my cool second post again. There's the Ultraman, right? So a lot of that is probably somewhat familiar to you because we just did that. And if we look at the post dates, that gives you the time. This is the server time, by the way. So it might not make sense to you, but the 4558s and all that jazz, that's the server keeping track of this. Here's the ID numbers. So that's going to be things that table uses to keep track of stuff. And if you scroll further onto the right, you're going to see a bunch of other things. Post modified, blah, 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 blah. But it's basically, so if I click on structure, it's a table. This is a table just like you would have created in Access. So there's the name of it, which is ID. You could see the familiar little key. Instead of it being whatever the type of field it was in WordPress or in Access, which we were using like small characters or something like that. This is using big integers, and they can be 20 digits long. There is no default. It auto increments. Okay, and if you go further over here, you got some other things. Don't change anything, but just look around a little bit. At the top, you can also see there's SQL, there's search, insert, export, import, operations, triggers, blah, 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 blah. There's lots of stuff in here. So if you go to browse, this is allowing you to see the actual information in there. So now let's go down and look at the WP underscore users, because surely there'll be something in there. And if you look at the browse, and you scroll left and right, you can see the stuff that I typed in the very, very beginning. You can see that it's not keeping the password in clear text. It thinks that I'm an admin. That's the nice name. My login is MattyHerdWP, and there's the email address. And then again, user registered at that clock time. Status means something that I don't know about because I didn't build the database, but I know that I'm user ID 1. Okay? There's other things that are over here, but this is just, kind of nosing around in a default database that WordPress creates once you click in that installatron. So that's just an example of how databases are actually used in the real world. So when you go and build a WordPress website, the information is not generally being stored in a lot of text files. They use text files, but the content is generally within a database. And the reason for that is twofold. One is it makes it much, much easier to keep backups. And number two, it's incredibly faster than pulling files out of your file system. So the response that you and others expect from a website is incredibly fast. And you can't really do it very easily from a file system any longer. So anyway, that's part of the reason why we're using these databases over here. So you can see there's some other things that are going on over here. MattyHer underscore Rob. I'm not even sure what that was all about anymore. Doesn't look like there's anything there. There's the Fremont local. This was a bunch of tables that I was working on a project. There's a destroy, which you can just guess what that means. So probably need to get rid of that. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of what that WordPress database is going to look like. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up an Access database. Okay, and I think I'm going to start another video for that. We'll break that up into a separate section, and I'll take you through the Access database and how you can use all of that terrible hard work that you grieved over earlier in the semester to create a database very easily. Okay, back for more.